Hello, welcome to this episode where we shall be looking at the proposed memorandum as well as the preparation for the grade 8 final examination of natural sciences, okay, November 2025, okay. So this is a 2-hour paper for 80 marks, okay, so we shall quickly go through over it. If you've not yet written the natural sciences, please just use it as a revision guide, okay. 4 options are provided as possible answers to the following questions, okay? Each question has only one correct answer, okay? You only need to write the letter next to the question number within the answer book. So which of the following objects is electrically neutral, okay? So if you're talking about a neutral object, the number of protons and the number of electrons must be equal, okay? So in A, it's more positive, okay? In B, everything is the same. We have 4 negatives and 4 positives. So B, we have this is more negative, this is more positive. So B becomes the best option there. All right, then 1.2. What will happen if you wrap 2 identical plastic rulers with a woolen cloth and bring them closer together? Okay, number 1, rulers will attract each other. Okay, rulers will repel each other. Okay, there is some truth there. The rulers will neither attract, no. The rulers will partially attract, and then no, it cannot happen at the same time. So if 2 rulers are being grabbed against the same material, meaning that the 2 rulers will obtain the same charge. And we know that like charges always repel, okay? So B will be the correct option in that case. Then 1.3. Which statement regarding the circuits below is true? Okay, so we have these 2 in series and a bulb, series and series and 3 bulbs, 1 bulb, 2 bulbs, and all right. So they're telling us that the overall resistance in C is less than in A. This is wrong. Okay, since these ones are in series and they are 3, the resistance is higher compared to the one in A. If more bulbs are connected in series, the brightness will increase. Never. It can never happen. The bulb in circuit A is the brightest because the overall current is the largest. That is very correct. All bulbs grow with the same brightness. This is wrong. Okay, so that is 1.3. Then 1.4. 1.4. Let's see. Okay, 1.4. Which color has the largest wavelength in the spectrum of visible light? Is it the red? Is it the green? Is it the blue? Or it is the violet? So the answer here, since we're talking about the longest wavelength and the shortest frequency, that is going to be called red, color red. Okay, then what is the center of our solar system? What is at the center of our solar system? So we know that the sun is the master at the center there. Okay, 1.6. The distance between the sun and the earth is dash, 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 dash. So how many light years are there? So it's basically 4 light years. Nope. 8 minutes. Some truth in it. 28 million light years. No. 1 light year. No. So it is basically 8 minutes. So in other words, it takes 8 minutes for light to move from the sun to the earth. Okay, then 1.7, a celestial body that comes from the Oort cloud and has a tail when it comes closer to the sun. What do we call that? That is a comet. Okay. And then 1.8, there are a dash of galaxies across the universe. How many galaxies do we have? We have 1 billion, very many. Okay. Billion galaxies. And then which one is the correct arrangement according to the size? Okay. We have the star constellation the universe, the galaxy, we have the star, the universe. And so the correct answer, A would have been correct, but then the order of the universe and the galaxy. Okay, so the universe is bigger than the galaxy. Okay, so I'll take D to be my correct option there. And then 1.10, refraction is the bending of light. Okay, that is true. But as it enters one lighter medium to a more dense medium. Okay, so we're going to have option A, different medium. So one has to be lighter or the other one has to be more denser. Okay. Okay, so it said that's going to be A. And then question number 2, write down the correct scientific word or phrase for each of the following statements. Write the answer next to the question number, okay? So a tiny negatively charged particle that is found in an atom or found in atoms, that's what we call an electron, okay, or electrons, okay? And then 300,000 kilometers per second. That is basically like the speed of light, né? Speed of light. Some people will say it is 300 million meters per second. Okay, and then substances through which most of the light can pass, those ones are known as the transparent substances. The planet known as the morning star or the evening star, this is known as the Venus. Okay, the sun with its 8 planets orbiting around it, that is known as the solar system. Okay, and then question number next. Okay, question number 3, choose a word from column B that matches the description in column A. Write only the letter A to I next to the question number. Okay. Okay. So for 3.1, it is a source of energy. So from all of these, which one is a source of energy? So E is the cell that I'm seeing to be a source of energy. So 3.1, I'm going with E. And then resistors in parallel, what do? They divide the current. Perfect. Okay. And then current decreases when resistors are added. That is basically a series. Okay, so a series circuit, that is A, and then it opposes the flow of electric current. This must be a resistor. Okay, which is C. I'll take C to be my answer. And then it breaks the circuit when it overheats. This is what we call a fuse. Ne? A fuse is the one that breaks the circuit when there's overheating taking place. All right, so out of all of that, that's all we needed. And then section B, label each of the following components of a circuit. So this is a switch, which is open. Okay, this is a battery, since we have very many cells connected together. So that is a battery. And then this is a resistor because of that symbol. Okay, becomes a resistor. Then 4.2, they want us to draw a circuit diagram that consists of 2 cells in series, 2 bulbs that are in parallel, and then 1 resistor in series with the 2 bulbs that are in parallel. A switch that can switch one of the bulbs in parallel on and off. Okay, so how are we gonna do that? So let's start with the cells now. So 2 cells, that's 1 cell, that's the other cell. Okay, so they're telling us we must connect this to a switch. Okay, let's just get the 2 bulbs that are in parallel first. So meaning that we're gonna have 1 bulb here. The other bulb can be at the bottom. Okay. And then we have something like that. And then they told us there has to be a switch somewhere. Okay, meaning that I can erase that and put my switch. And then after that switch, they're telling us that there needs to be one resistor in series with the two bulbs. So if the two parallel like that, we can connect the resistor somewhere here. So that is our resistor. Oops. Okay, so that is the circuit that the question was technically asking for. All right, then question number 5 shown below are the diagrams of an electric doorbell, the apparatus for covering a silver spoon with gold, and an electric iron for ironing clothes. Okay, then they're asking us which one of the above A, B, C is an example of heating effect of an electric current. So heating effect when electric current flows and then heat is created, it's option C. Okay, and then 5.1.2, magnetic effect of an electric current. So we have magnetism in A, which is the electric bell. So we say that is a C, that's A. And then the chemical effect, that's gonna be B, because chemistry is taking place there. Okay, then question number 6, study the series circuit below and answer the questions that follow. 6.1.1, why is this circuit called a series circuit? So the reason as to why it's a series, a series is something that is just continuous, okay? It's like people that love watching series, those movies that one after one episode, you have another episode. So it's just one continuous path. So we're going to say that there is only one path for current to flow. There is only one path for current to flow. Or alternatively, someone can say that all the components are connected one after the other, or next to each other. Then 6.1.2, currently, none of the bulbs in the circuit lights up, okay? And what is the reason for that case? Because of the open switch. Okay, we can say that the circuit is incomplete, or the circuit is open, or we can say the switch is open. Okay, then give one disadvantage of connecting bulbs in series. The disadvantage is that if one bulb blows up, then the rest of the bulbs will not light because the path of current will be broken. Okay, so we're saying that if one device or one component of the circuit fails, one component of the device of the circuit fails, all other components will fail. All other components will fail. Okay, then 6.2, two circuits are compared. All bulbs and cells are identical. In other words, they're all the same size. So we can see that these ones are connected in series. These ones are connected in parallel. Okay. 6.2.1, which circuit between A and B divides the current? It is circuit B. So the parallel is known as a current divider. Okay. Reason, what is the explanation? So we have three paths. So current can move from here. It can go via A, can go via B, and then there's also some that is going via C. Now, since the bulbs are of the same size, the same amount of current will be passing through all of them. But the total current from these branches should be equivalent to the current that is passing through the battery. So we're going to say that there are three ways to bulb A, B, and C. Okay, then 6.2.2 give two reasons why the type of connection in B is used for electrical wiring of lights in our homes. So if we have more bulbs or more lights in parallel, this simply means that there is going to be less resistance that is created in the circuit. Okay. And then the brightness of the bulbs just remains the same. Okay. It remains the same. And then we're saying that the bulbs can also be switched on and off. Switched on and off independently. Okay, with the series, it's like one switch must influence everything. In the parallel, every bulb might have its own switch. And then lastly, we can say that if one bulb dies, okay, if one bulb dies, the other bulbs will glow. Okay, so you just have to replace that one bulb and then you're back to normal. All right, question number 7. Study or some objects emit or send out their own light, other objects do not. The diagrams below and answer the following questions. Identify one luminous object in the diagram. So luminous, it's basically, it has its own light. Okay, it can bring out its own light. So the burning match, or we can say the sun. So these two, they produce their own light. Explain why the moon is a non-luminous. So it's saying that it does not emit. It does not emit light of its own. It does not emit light of its own. So it's like people that usually do the lip singing. So those people, it's like they don't have songs of their own, just open the lips and, someone's music. All right, 7.3, they're telling us we have a prism, white light, and then it's being broken down, okay? White light from the sun falls onto a rectangular prism as shown below. Name the missing colors A, B, and C. We know that it's supposed to be Roy, GBIF, okay? Whereby A, we have the orange, and then after yellow, we have G, which is the green, and then C is the violet. Okay, the violet. And then 7.3.2, what is the complete range of the 7 colors of white light called? So this is known as visible light, or some people can call it the spectrum, like a spectrum of white light. Spectrum of white light, but I would prefer to say visible light. Then 7.4, opaque substances, they cast a shadow on the side facing away from the light source. Okay, so which one of these two objects will cast an obvious dark shadow? Is it the drinking glass or the book? So definitely it's going to be the book since it's opaque, does not allow light to go through it. With a glass, the shadow will be very light. Okay, 7.4.2. The outside cover of the book is blue. Refer to the absorption and reflection of light and explain why the book is seen as blue. So we know that when white light falls onto an object, okay, or let's say in this case, we're focusing on the blue book. The blue book is only going to reflect the blue light and it will absorb all the other lights, okay, all the other colors. So we're saying that when visible light shines on the book, it absorbs all the other colors, it absorbs all the other colors and reflects only blue. So if it's red, it will absorb all the other colors and reflect just the red. Okay, question number 8. A person looks at the burning candle through a straight tube and can clearly see the light from the candle. Okay, when a person looks at the light candle through a bent tube, the light from the candle cannot be seen. Okay, give a reason why a person cannot see the light from a candle through the bent tube. So this explains, or it tells us that light always travels in a straight line. Okay, so you're going to say that light rays always travel in a straight line. They always travel in a straight line. All right, and then 8.2, study the ray diagrams 1 and 2. Okay, so we're seeing some bit of reflection here, and then we are seeing some bit of refraction in this case. Then which diagram represents refraction? So it's diagram 2. Okay, and then 8.2.2, if ray 1 is called the incident ray, then ray 2 is going to be known as the reflected ray. That's fine. And then compare the size of angle 1 and size of angle 2. So under reflection, the angle of incidence must be equivalent to the angle of reflection. So compare the sizes. So we're going to say that angle 1 is equal to angle number 2. Or the angle of incidence the same as angle of reflection, or someone can say that they are the same. Then which law is illustrated in diagram number 1? So that is the law of reflection. The law of reflection. All right, that is question number 8. Then question 9, solar system, and answer the questions that follow. Okay, so we have the Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Y, Saturn, Z, Neptune, Pluto. 9.1.1, which one of the bodies in the diagram above is a star? Okay. Which one above is a star? Okay, so the star of interest is the Sun. And the 9.1.2, sunlight is produced through nuclear reactions whereby hydrogen atoms fuse together. So what gas, okay, what gas is created when hydrogen atoms undergo fusion? That is what we call the helium gas, okay? The gas that is within the balloons. Then why is the moon not regarded as a planet? Okay, so the reason as to why the moon is not a planet is because it orbits, okay, it orbits the Earth, which is a planet, okay, and not the Sun directly. It orbits the Earth and not the Sun directly, so that's why it's not regarded as a planet. Then how long does it take the Earth to orbit the Sun? So this is basically the number of days in a year, which is approximately 365 days, or someone can say 365.25 days. And then what is the name of planet Y? So planet Y after Mars, okay, is it the Jupiter? So he's saying that is our Jupiter. All right, then question 9.1.6. So the dwarf planet here is Pluto, which is the last one, okay? So that is Pluto. And then what force keeps all the planets in the stable, predictable orbits? That is basically the force of gravity. And then discuss 2 conditions that support life on Earth. Number 1, there has to be liquid water, or there has to be water. And liquid water is better because we also have solid water. And then there has to be the suitable temperature. suitable temperature. And then next, we need nutrients from the soil. Okay, so for as long as these conditions can be met, our life will be good. Lastly, we can say we also need oxygen in the atmosphere. Okay, so those are some of the conditions that need to be met for life to be supported on Earth. And then question number 10. Question number 10. They are telling us the photograph below shows a hazy path of light across the night sky near the Sutherland, where the Salt telescope is located. The white band of stars spanning across the sky is part of the galaxy our solar system belongs to. And what's the name of this galaxy? It's known as the Milky Way galaxy. Then 10.2, where does the name of our galaxy come from? It comes from the Greeks, né? From the Greeks. Why is it called the Milky Way? Because it looks like spilled milk. Because it looks like spilled milk. Okay, and then below is a diagram of what scientists think our galaxy looks like if seen from afar. Okay, so what is the shape of our galaxy? This is a spiral, okay? So it's basically a spiral shape. And then next, 10.4, the diagram below shows a famous constellation of four stars and its pointers that can easily be seen in the southern hemisphere. So what is the name of the four stars? So this is known as the Southern Cross. 10.4.2, one of the two pointers is the nearest star to our sun. And what is the name of this star? So this is known as the Alpha. Okay. Some people can also call it the Proxima Centauri. Then 10.4.3, explain what a light year is. So it's basically the distance that light travels, okay, in one full year. So the distance traveled by light in one full year will be known as a light year. And then 10.4.4, why do we measure distances in the universe in light years and not kilometers? Because the distances are very huge, they are very large, okay? So distances are very, very large, which makes what? Which makes the use of kilometers, almost impractical or impossible to, because we shall be dealing with very many numbers. All right, then question 11. Read the table below and answer the questions that follow, okay? So we have the planets, the number of moons on each planet, the orbit period around the sun, the day length in hours, the average temperature, as well as the distance from the sun in million kilometers. And so the first question is, how long is a year in Mercury? So when you look at Mercury, the orbit period around the sun, remember the Earth orbits the sun in 365 days. So Mercury will orbit the sun in 88 days. So we have 88 days in Mercury. So technically, every 3 months is a new year in Mercury. Then 11.2, which planet is the hottest to live in? So with the hottest, just look at the average temperatures, okay? So which one is the temperature? The biggest temperature is 464, okay? So Venus will be the hottest, very hot, like a heater. All right, then what would make it difficult for you to drink water in Neptune? So when you look at Neptune, okay, 166 years. Okay? So the reason as to why we cannot easily drink water is because the temperatures are very low. Negative 200, I mean everything is frozen on that planet. Okay, so we're going to say that two low temperatures, so in other words, we don't have the liquid water, two low temperatures, and we can say that the water is ice in that planet. 11.4, one gas planet and one terrestrial planet. So a gas planet that we can think of is Jupiter. Okay, gas planet is Jupiter, just full of gases. How do we tell? When you look at your Jupiter and you look at your temperature, that's the temperature. Okay, then for the terrestrial, which means land planet, the land planet is the Earth, which is just automatic. So when you look at the Earth, I mean the average temperature is 15. So the smaller the temperature, which means there's life there, okay, on the land. All right, guys, so that brings us to the end of this paper. Thank you very much for following through. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe, like, and share. We thank you. We appreciate all your input. Keep it up. I hope to see you in the next grade next year. Bye-bye.